Hello again. So in this example, we're going to look at synthetic division. So synthetic division is another way that we can divide polynomials. On Google Classroom, I have given you this resource, which is an example of how to do synthetic division, and it really uses a lot of the concepts behind a flowchart to show you exactly how, what, when, and where. So this is one example that you have as a resource. One of the things that I do want to note on this example is two different things. Whatever you're dividing by, you can see right here, you must be dividing by a binomial with a leading coefficient of 1. If it does not have a leading coefficient of 1, you cannot use synthetic division. You have to do long division. All right, so very important, very important, very important. Might want to write that down on your notes, or at least if you print this out, put a great big highlight around that must be dividing by a binomial with a leading coefficient of 1. All right, so this is your resource. Now I'm going to talk you through doing the actual example that we have in our text. So in our text, topic 3-4 still, example 2, it can be found on page 155 or 156. It continues on to 156. And they're asking us what is 2x cubed minus 7x minus 4 divided by x minus 3. So does this divisor, is it a binomial? Yes. Does it have a leading coefficient? That's that 1 in front of the x of 1. Yes. So good. We can use synthetic division. So how do you do synthetic division? The very first and very most important part of synthetic division is to be able to lay it all out. So here I have another resource for you. And this is available on Google Classroom as well. And until you get just really quick and easy knowing how to set up synthetic division, this might be a great thing for you to use on a repeating basis. So we're going to get started. First and foremost, what do you put here? Well, what you put there is actually what we call the zeros of the divisor. And so how we find a zero of the divisor is by setting that binomial equal to 0. So we want to know, what does x equal? Because that's what we're going to use to divide by. So if we add 3 to both sides, then we have x is equal to 3. So we're going to divide by 3. The other way to look at this that's really quick and easy is just the opposite of whatever this term is. So that's a -3. So we know we're going to divide by a +3. If it was a +3, we would divide by the opposite, which is the -3. But in any case, the whole reason why we do this is because that's the zero of that binomial. So let's fill in our blanks. We know we're going to divide by 3. That goes right there. That's our divisor. All right. It's the value when equal to 0. Next, we're going to have to fill in the coefficients only of each individual term. So we have an x cubed term. We don't have an x fourth term, so we're not going to do anything here. We're going to fill in the coefficient of our x cubed term, which is 2. Then we have a coefficient of our x squared term, which is -7. We do not have a coefficient for an x term. So that coefficient is going to be 0. Why? Why would the coefficient be 0 when we don't have an x term? Because 0, if you look right here, we're saying by entering that coefficient of 0 that it's 0x, and 0 times anything is 0, so we have to use that 0 as a placeholder. So continuing on, we have our coefficient of our x cubed term, our coefficient of our x squared term, that -7 from the x squared. We have 0 for the x term, and now we need our constant term, which is -4. Now comes the fun part. We've got it all set up to do the actual process of synthetic division. First step, bring your first term down. So you just bring it straight down, 2. That's it. Bring it straight down. Now it's multiply your divisor with this 2 that you've brought down. 3 times 2 is 6, and you put it in this box under your next term. So you're bringing the first term straight down, multiplying, and putting it in the next box. And you'll see that on this sheet. Bring the first term straight down, multiply, put it in this box. So that's how you're going to read this flow chart. Up, and then as you see right here, it's kind of small print, but it says add. So now we're going to add straight down. So multiply, add. -7 plus a 6 is -1. Now we multiply, which would be a -3, and add. That's a -3. 0 plus -3. Now multiply again. 3 times a -3 is -9, and add. -13. And that's how you find out what your next coefficients are going to be. So it's always multiply, put it under your next term, add. Multiply, put it under your next term, add. And then multiply, put it under your next term, add. So now you can see right here, this says that is actually the coefficient of the x squared term. So we can rewrite this after we've divided using synthetic division. 2x squared, it was the coefficient of the x cubed term, if you look right there. Now it's the coefficient of the x squared term. This is the coefficient of the x term, minus x, because it's 1, so minus x, minus 3, that's our constant term right here, minus, and then here's the remainder. Remember what we did with the remainder on the previous example, example 1, when we did the long division? We're going to do the exact same thing. 13 divided by, but what did we divide by? It's not the 3. That's just the 0 that we had to identify to make synthetic division work. We actually have to go back to what did we divide by? We divided by x minus 3, the entire thing. So we're going to put that -13, that is our remainder, over the x minus 3. So don't miss that. Don't forget that even though we put a 3 up here, that 3 is the 0 of that binomial. That's what we need to use to make synthetic division work. But it's only representing the piece that we need from the original problem to make synthetic division work, because we're only working with coefficients. All right, so it's very important, very important, very important that if you do have a remainder, that you make sure that you place that remainder over what your original divisor was. All right, So that is synthetic division. Once again, you do have all of these resources in Google Classroom for you, so you can print these down or you can simply copy them on your paper. You don't have to label them all. It's just when you're first learning how to do synthetic division, it's very easy to get confused. Remember, bring straight down your first term, multiply, put it up here, add. Multiply, put it up here, add. So you just do that process over and over and over. But I strongly encourage you that as you're getting used to it, that you'll use this type of guided note to be able to lead you through the process. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't forget, make sure you do your tryouts and turn them in on Google Classroom. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Goodbye.